I know, go ahead.
I guess in the media, one of the hot topics is waterboarding, torture, and I just a lot of people have there's a lot of different answers as to what your position is on it, and I'd be very, very curious to know from the horse's mouth what your position is on waterboarding and torture.
Sir, I have been as unequivocal as possible. Unequivocal as possible. Waterboarding is torture. It is prohibited by international agreement. It is tortured by any criteria you want. Now, I believe that the CIA could probably use some additional techniques than those that are in the Army Field Manual. But those cannot be in violation of the Geneva Conventions, the bill that they called the McCain Amendment that prohibits cruel, inhumane treatment or degrading treatment. I believe that under President Reagan, we passed an anti-torture convention. There's the Detainee Treatment Act. There's all kinds of laws that prohibit torture. Waterboarding is torture, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. Now, I'd just like to, and I know there's some people who say, well, you'd have to use it under certain circumstances. I just don't accept that. I think the evidence that you get out of that is reliable and unreliable as well. I think that someone will give you whatever information they think you want to hear to make pain stop. I notice that the Israelis don't use torture. But also, this is an ideological struggle we're in. It's not just a battleground of weapons. And if we use torture on people, I don't think that it helps us differentiate between ourselves and the people that we're trying to defeat. And that's why the military, because they're worried about in future wars if our men and women who are serving in the military are become captive. Let me just tell you a brief anecdote. Thanksgiving, I was in Iraq. I met a former high-ranking al-Qaeda guy who had come over to our side. One of the toughest, most evil-looking people I have ever seen in my life. And we met with him, Senator Lindsey Graham and I said, why were you so successful after the initial invasion in having the success that you had? He said two things. He said the utter lawlessness after your initial military invasion, there was no control, as you know, in Iraq. There was murder, there was pillage, it was a totally lawless situation. He said that gave us enormous help. He said the second thing that was our greatest recruiting tool was Abu Ghraib. My friends, I think that we should take the word of the former high-ranking al-Qaeda official that torturing people actually serves as a recruiting tool. So I hope that that clears it up for you, and I have no doubt that there would be no torture if I were President of the United States, and I say that with respect to those people who think we should. Yes, ma'am.